Recording 7. Eye Bright. As I'm getting older, like everyone, I'm having more and more trouble with my eyesight. Even though I used to have 20/20 vision, I now cannot get by without reading glasses and must wear different ones to watch the television. I've also had to go through 2 cataract operations and have to take daily eye drops to keep it all in check. It's all so dull, but this latest letter really brought it all home to me, and not in a good way. Dear Lisa, my name is Jenny Cook, and I'm writing to you on the recommendation of someone who seemed to know you. We met during a conference when I was still working in Chicago. I now live in Nebraska, as I find it much easier to live in the wilds out here, where there are hardly any people and less likelihood of finding myself in the problems I had previously. Sorry, I'm not that good at writing things down, and I wish I could speak on the phone with you, but apparently this is not possible. So I will do my best. Here goes. It all started last year. I was still in my job at the district attorney's office in Chicago, in a fairly lowly administrative desk job, but I enjoyed it. I'd been there 5 years, and I began to experience blurred vision, an eye strain, so I went to my ophthalmologist, but he could find nothing wrong. I got some prescription spectacles, but they did not really seem to do the trick, and I started to get real anxious that it was affecting my work. By the end of each day, I would have trouble focusing on my paperwork and driving home. I felt like I was a liability on the freeway. Anyway, it just so happened that I was at the leaving party of someone in the office, Chad. I didn't really know him, but it was a chance to leave work early and get a glass of warm beer and a peanut or two. So there I was, sitting next to the filing cabinets and avoiding Chad, when this woman approached me and immediately started to comment on my eyes. I was obviously taken aback, but she said her father was an eye specialist who used only organic and natural products, and my symptoms were more common than people think, and she had some eye drops that would really help. You know how hindsight is 20/20. I think back now to that conversation and beat myself up about how little I managed to find out about her. She only told me that her name was Cassidy. She was not from Chicago, but did not let me know where she was from, or what she did, or who she was, or anything really. I remember she was very tall and skinny, with long black hair, which I took to be dyed, as it was really, really black. You know, like raven's wings. And her skin was way too pale to be natural. As in, I remember thinking she may be a goth or something. She also had an unfeasibly high voice, soft as a child, with a slight lisp, which some people may have found attractive, but for some reason, it gave me the creeps. Which is strange, as she was really nice and friendly and seemed genuinely caring about my eye problems. Anyway, she finally produced this little glass bottle from her purse and said I could have it and should use it just before bed every day. Of course, I said no, especially as the bottle looked to be labeled with only one handwritten word, Eye Bright. Nothing from a pharmacy or any list of ingredients or side effects for that matter. Cassidy's answer to this was to immediately pop a couple of drops from the bottle into her own eyes to show that there was nothing seemingly toxic in there. After doing this, she looked straight at me with such a strange look in her eyes and said,
I'm telling you, Jenny, these drops will change your life. You will be able to see it all.
Oh, Lisa, if only I had taken real notice of those words. And how the hell she knew my name I will never know. I never told her. She was incredibly persuasive, and I was very tired after a long working day, so to try and leave the increasingly tricky scenario, I made an excuse that I needed to use the bathroom. And when I got back, she had vanished. And when I asked a few other people if they knew Cassidy or how she had been included in the party, no one seemed to know, or indeed have any recollection of seeing her. And, of course, I found the bottle in my jacket pocket as I left the party. No idea how she managed to drop that in there. This, again, should have made me pause and think twice about using those damned eye drops. But you know how it goes when you've had a couple of beers and you get home with your eyes giving you hell. In my defense, I did look up eye bride on the internet and saw that it was indeed a natural plant that has been used in eye remedies for years, but not usually administered direct into the eye. So, I gave it a go. A couple of drops in each eye and then flaked out, sick of the whole thing. But still that nagging feeling of who the hell was Cassidy, and how had she known about my eye problem? Well, the next day, I get to work, and my vision is clearer than I ever remembered it. I didn't even need my specs for reading the computer screen, and no nagging headache by the end of the day. I felt a glimmer of hope that actually I had come across something that would change my life. I was not wrong. After work, I needed to go to the grocery store around the corner from my apartment for some food. I decided to walk there, even though it was bitterly cold, and, wrapped up in my duffel coat and hat, I made my way down the crowded sidewalk with my head tucked down into my muffler. To be honest, I'd not really been looking around at any of the other pedestrians huddled into their winter clothes, but when stopping to cross the road, I glanced up to see 3 people coming the other way, and to my horror, I could not only see through their layers of winter dress, but I could see inside their actual bodies. What I mean by that, Lisa, is I could see their organs. I could see their hearts pumping, their lungs breathing, and the blood in their veins circulating, the muscles moving their limbs as they walked, the network of tendons, and on and on. Things that no one except a surgeon should see in their lives. I stood stock still on the edge of the sidewalk, making people curse as they had to swerve around me. More people that, as I glanced at them with rising horror as their insides, their guts, and their very physical workings were all on display to me. There was even a woman with a tiny fetus tucked inside her belly. I felt the rise of panic in my throat, and trying to avert my eyes so I only saw the ground beneath my feet, I ran all the way back to my apartment and leaned against my front door, wishing to God that this was some kind of waking dream and praying that I was not having some kind of breakdown. What the hell was going on? Eventually, I managed to calm myself down, and, still in need of provisions, I decided to try again. This time, I fished out an old pair of sunglasses from somewhere and wore them, even though the sky was grey, and made finding my way out of my apartment building a bit tricky. Finding your way through a crowded city without making eye contact with anyone is pretty much impossible, as you can imagine. But once I got the hang of not looking at any one person and their insides for more than a second, made the journey bearable. I thought that once I got to the store, things would be okay. I don't know what made me think this, but of course, I was wrong. Grabbing a basket, I made myself focus on just looking at the food on the shelves and quickly made my way through the aisles, changing direction if another person came into view. Luckily, it was quite late in the evening by this time, so there were not a lot of other customers. I finally got to the checkout, feeling pleased with myself for keeping my composure in this new reality, but this was when it all became too much for me. I was busy unpacking my basket onto the conveyor belt when I heard the checkout lady ask if I needed to buy any bags. Oh, why didn't I just nod my head? The head that I was keeping as far down to my chest as possible so my wretched eyes couldn't see all the flux and flow, the squidge and pulse, the inner workings of the human body in all its gore. I looked up at her, and the jar of beans slid out of my numb fingers and smashed onto the floor, so everyone turned to stare, the checkout lady among them, as my eyes took in her heart, her lungs, her other heart? Yes, Lisa, her second heart. I saw it, and I knew in an instant that she saw I saw it. My mouth hung open as she began to put my groceries through the checkout and met my gaze with a little smile playing on her lips as she mouthed to me, "Oh, damn, you've seen me." I need not go into details of what happened next, how I got myself home, how I failed to turn up for work and ended up losing my job. Signed off due to mental health issues, i.e. a breakdown. So I moved away from the city, as far away as I could, and as far away from other people as I could. I threw away the bottle of eye drops, which may have been a stupid move, but I couldn't bear to have it near me. And obviously, I could find no trace of Cassidy to get to the bottom of this. Not one trace. Every day I hope that their side effects will fade away, but there is no sign of this yet, and that was over 8 months ago. I still get to see what I really don't want to. Far too much detail of the workings of the human body organism. But I have not, thankfully, seen another creature with a second heart. At least not yet. Anyway, as your daughter told me, you are the one who may have some advice on this. How can I get my normal sight back? And more importantly, what in the name of God was the creature with 2 hearts and acting like a checkout lady doing there? I await your response. Jenny. Whew. Well, that certainly makes me feel more comfortable with my slowing vision. Can't imagine what a horror it would be not to see people. Can't imagine trying to play my weekly bridge with my girls if I could see their lunch. Ugh. Jenny, this does sound awful. However, I have no background in the workings of the eye, and, well, I don't have a daughter. The 2 hearts is interesting. Perhaps Time Lords live among us. Although Jenny's tone suggests that they might not be as friendly as the man in the blue box. That was Letters to Lisa, recording 7, Eye Bright. Written by Philippa Harland, read by Caroline Lawrie.